Hello and welcome to the second episode of Extraordinary, a new podcast series with B-sides featuring my friend, the actor Ed Stoppard. This week, for Extraordinary, ordinary people with extraordinary outlooks on life, I'm talking to my son, Constantine, aged 11. The conversation was triggered one night when I was putting him to bed, and he suddenly announced that he'd experienced extreme loneliness when he'd moved schools, and it got us talking about friendship, and I thought it would make a good podcast. I don't think I captured the essence of that conversation that we had many nights ago in the middle of a lockdown, but this is an interesting conversation because it gets us into social media and the impact of social media on children and their view of it. It was certainly an education for me. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, my son, Constantine, aged 11. And when I was putting him to bed the other night, we started talking about friends. Isn't that right, Constantine?
Yeah, we started having a chat about the friendship, the friendship bubble, about how friendship actually works and how it affects different people and how it affects the brain as a whole.
And specifically, I was very surprised. It was almost like an admission because when did you go to Yule Castle? How long ago was it?
It was like a few years ago, like maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And you moved schools, didn't you?
Yes, I moved schools because in my old school I had loads of friends and all that. So I moved schools.
So you were starting a completely new school with no friends.
Yes.
And what you admitted to me for the first time was that you had no friends for 4 weeks, and I didn't know that.
No, yeah. I had literally zero friends, no accompaniment, literally no one.
What surprised me was that you described it as you actually used the word insane, didn't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on that?
Because when you think about it, trying to make friends is a lengthy kind of process. So having to go back and do the same thing over again, I mean, that is the definition of insane. So I was going back every day asking for the same thing. I mean, it was insane.
Because you were desperate to make friends?
Yeah, because, I mean, if you're in a school and you have no friends, there's literally no point in being in the school, is there?
But you never mentioned that to mummy or daddy?
No, I never mentioned it to you guys because of the sole fact that I knew that I could get through it because I've had massive fallouts where I've had no friends before back in my old school. So yeah, I knew I could get through it by just doing the same thing over and over again.
It's very stressful, isn't it, for children at school at times? The idea of friends and friendship, not having them or falling out.
Yeah, well, especially moving schools, it's going to be very hard to make new friends for children because if you're new, that's not their norm. So it'll be a bit weird for them. If you're a child, you always want to be involved in stuff because you've got a lot of people some people don't want to be involved in stuff. Some people just want to be locked in their room, away from people. But the people that do are very adventurous kind of people. They would just want to be with everyone. They get their energy off other people when they're happy as well.
You mentioned there was one particular boy that effectively, after 4 weeks of what you described as insanity, made friends with you and then introduced you to other friends. Do you think that's how it works? It just takes one person?
I'm not sure if that's the case for everyone because there's different personalities, different people. But I think if you make friends with one person and they're already in one of the main friend groups, then yeah, it's going to work quite well. If you are friends with someone that is in a main friend group, they're obviously going to introduce you to that friend group.
It must have been very lonely at times in those 4 weeks.
Yeah, no, it was. Only the teachers were really the ones interacting with me the most. So when I put my hand up, that was the only type of conversation I got.
How important is it, do you think, to be friends with people that might not have many friends?
Yeah, that's always what I try and achieve to do. If someone's new in the school, I try to make friends with them because I'm sympathetic of what they've been through because I know what I've been through. And I would hate for them, anyone to go through that again. So I would never wish that upon anyone or want that to happen to anyone.
And would you say that your class is generally friendly to new people now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they weren't not friendly to me. They just weren't friends with me. They were just kind of normal. They were kind of neutral with me.
And what I've noticed during lockdown is that your group of friends, I mean, there's probably about 5 or 6 of you, is that right?
Yeah, about 5 or 6.
You spend a lot of time together on Fortnite.
Yeah, because it's kind of like those kind of games is a way you can also communicate. I'm not a big fan of the game, but if you are playing a game which means you can all be together and also communicate using movements in the whatever in the game, then it's a really enjoyable thing.
Because what I noticed was that you're not really into the game. It's more about what you do within it with your friends, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about the kind of communication and what you actually do with your friends. It's about that.
When I sort of hear you giggling when you're playing Fortnite, I hear a giggle I've never heard before. It's a spirited laugh. What sort of things are you doing in Fortnite? Is it literally like messing around like you would do if you were in class or in a playground?
Yeah, I think that's what kind of you get that nature from, is when you're messing around in class, you get that nature and you keep it with you. So then when you're playing games like this, we just mess around. That's what we do. Is we don't really play the game seriously.
Yeah.
We mess around.
And you spend hours chatting with each other, don't you?
Yeah, it's because when you're in quarantine, there's literally no other social contact. So that's the best thing you're going to get. So I try and cherish it.
And the other thing I've noticed is that you play the game on the sort of TV screen via the PlayStation, but you've also got your iPad set up. Just for any listeners out there, it'd be interesting to know the technical setup. How does that work? What are you doing on the iPad? Is it FaceTime? What is it?
It is FaceTime, because if you want to chat in the game by using Fortnite, everyone would have to have a microphone, a headset microphone. Not everyone has that. But if you're on the iPad and FaceTime, you can literally just talk. There's no microphone needed. You're just talking to the provided Apple microphone.
Does that mean that children that don't have that kind of setup are at a disadvantage, in your opinion, during lockdown?
Yeah, I think so. But there's always ways around it. You can get your mum's phone or you can get your dad's phone. You can do whatever you want, really.
Oh, I see, yeah. And apart from Fortnite, what other games have you guys explored as part of your evolving friendship through lockdown?
We mostly play that. I mean, there's a few games there's one called Rocket League where it's kind of like a football game except you play it with cars.
I've seen that. Is that the cars where you have to score the goal with the giant ball?
Yeah.
And that has a social interaction element?
Yeah, because there's one team which could be a few friends, and then another team, so it could be 3 versus 3, or 2 versus 2, or 1 versus 1.
Mummy and I think that you have had it the hardest during lockdown. Alexander is 15 now. He's 100% focused on his studies. He kind of likes the isolation because it means he can just study at his own pace. Mummy and I are really just happy with lockdown because we're just getting on. Mummy's baking lots of things and I'm doing things like podcasts. It's been particularly hard for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, because as a child, there's not much you can do. Like, I can't bake, I can't do a podcast, and I'm not.
You can bake.
Well, it's not like I can.
But you
just
do bake. But the difference is
I can't pick up a pan.
It's not about the activity, is it? It's about having your peer group with you, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you really miss. It's not the activity, because we've been doing football, baking. We're doing a podcast now. It's not really activity I think what it is that you get your energy from other people, whereas Alexander gets his energy from his own solitude. I think that's the difference. What would you think?
I think definitely lockdown has been hard because of that sole reason. Is I get my energy from other people's energy, and I kind of download it in a way. But Alexander, he likes to be in a confinement, and he gets his energy off being alone. So yeah, that's definitely why I spend hours, is because also I'm moving out year 6 very soon. And only a few people are actually staying in the school, so
How's that going to work now? Now you're all ending year 6. What's the plan? Are you going back? What's happening with school?
Well, we're going back. We're not necessarily going to have an end of school thing, but we're going back, and we're going to social distance. I mean, the plan has been given out. There's going to be different sectors that go in at different times. It's going to be very confusing at start, but I think I'll get the hang of it.
And will there be games, sport, or not?
Yeah, no, I don't think there'll be any sport. I think there might be sport, but very socially distanced.
Have you missed sport?
Yeah, I have in a way. I've missed football. I've missed the kind of things we do in that kind of sense. But I can any day if I want go out and play football on my own.
But it's not the same, is it?
No, it's not the same as when you have other people playing it with you.
What's the thing you've missed most about school?
Well, of course, it's going to be friends. I mean,
and what are the times that you miss most? Is it lunch times? Is it play times? Is it is it the classes? What is it?
I'd say it's the classes, because the most wit, the most bits of like actually comedic humour and that kind of stuff come out of the classes. So that's why I enjoy them. That's why I like classes.
And you got an issue for what were you doing using TikTok during an online class?
Oh yeah, I did that. I was using TikTok briefly. I did literally, you can see my camera's on and I just pick up and just look at it because I got a notification. And then I put it down. I used it for about 20 seconds. But you do get bored in online classes because when you think about it, there's loads of distractions at your fingertips. And I know I wasn't the only one doing it, so...
Yeah, but it was amusing when I saw that issue come through, I have to admit.
Yeah, well, it's like when you're in real life classes, there's so much more to do. There's so much more. You've got people sitting around you.
But you understand why the teachers have to have
I
discipline.
understand.
You can't have everyone on TikTok.
No, literally, it's fine. I completely agreed with that issue.
Has your TikTok activity gone up over the lockdown period?
I actually quit TikTok a few months ago. I just haven't been doing anything.
Why did you quit it? Tell me. What's the story?
Because the app has just turned too political for me. It used to be fun back in 2018. American politics is the thing I hate the most. I literally have no side in the politics, but there's Trump supporters versus Bernie supporters. There's this versus that.
On TikTok?
Yeah.
So it killed it. Politics killed TikTok.
Politics killed
and celebrities as well killed TikTok, didn't they?
I mean, just
it used to be just the kids, didn't it?
That's what I hate is celebrities ruin everything. And I know it's like on YouTube it used to be good, but then Will Smith came in and started uploading vlogs, and it turned YouTube from a kind of individual person who's trying to make it up through the way of vlogging without any background support to like famous people like Jimmy Fallon, Will Smith, other people like that.
You're saying Will Smith killed YouTube?
Will Smith did actually, and if anyone's listening to this that knows how he did it, they'll know exactly how he killed YouTube.
Because your heroes were like ordinary YouTubers that weren't famous, that became celebrities because of YouTube. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like Toby, KSI.
Yeah, all those people.
Are they still your heroes in some way?
They still do videos and they still get like 15 million views every video.
Are they still your heroes though?
Yeah, my favourite YouTuber is still going to always be Toby because of that incident.
What incident?
Where he picked me up when I met him.
Where were you? Let's talk about that. It was more than an incident. It was like you met your hero, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean...
What was it? Where was it? I didn't go. I bought the tickets, didn't I?
Yeah, you bought the
And
tickets.
I was going to take you and Alexander, do you remember?
Yeah, but then you couldn't do it.
But then I couldn't do it. And it was like mummy's worst nightmare, going to a YouTuber conference at Excel. But it was like just for the listeners, all the basically top YouTubers got together and they did this. Do you remember what it was called? I don't even remember what it was called.
It was called Upload. It was for charity.
Upload. This was a couple of years ago and tickets were like gold dust. You just couldn't get them. They sold out within seconds. And then you and Alexander were so distraught, I basically remortgaged the house to buy them on eBay. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And do you remember how excited you were?
Well, of course I would be, because there was one person there I wanted to meet.
Toby. And Mummy took you because I couldn't go. And hilariously, Mummy was put in a creche for adults. Can you just, for the listeners that might not know who Toby is, who is Toby? What does he do?
He does a lot of stuff for charity. That's why everyone was like, he's like lots of YouTuber merchandise is sold for like £50 to £60. He sold his for £5, and it was the one I was wearing, and all the proceeds went to.
But what charity. But just explain, because some people might not know what a YouTuber is, and they might not know who KSI is or Toby. Who are the others? What was that guy that used to do the pack openings on FIFA with the glasses?
I forgot his name. Oh, he doesn't really do anything anymore. I think he quit YouTube.
But I loved him. He was great.
Yeah.
But describe to someone that might not know, like there might be adults listening to this, they just won't know what a YouTuber is, or they certainly won't know who KSI or Toby is. What is a YouTuber? What does Toby, what did he do? What does he do?
He does entertainment videos. He does like gaming videos. He does walkthroughs. He does.
So gaming is key, isn't it, to the YouTube culture?
Yeah.
So what were Toby's main games that he would play?
He played FIFA, which is what I was very interested in. He played a lot of the Rockstar games, which were very, very, very good.
And what did KSI do? I know.
He started on FIFA. He's the biggest of them all. He has about 30. I don't know how many subscribers he has, but he's the biggest of them all.
Editors interjection. KSI does in fact have 21.4 million subscribers to his YouTube channel and has generated over 1.3 billion views.
He did so much stuff. He did vlogs, he did gaming, he did commentary.
So when you went to the upload at Excel, you queued up to see Toby to get an autograph. Is that right, or a selfie?
It was a picture,
right?
Not necessarily
And
selfie or autograph.
And everyone's mummy described the story to me, and she said it's the weirdest thing that ever happened. In that everyone's queuing up, and there's a kind of formality about it. Toby has his picture with a kid, a fan. Then they move on, and then another fan goes up to him, but something magical happened between you and Toby, didn't it?
Yeah, it's because I was wearing a piece of his clothing line of his merchandise. That it was the one that went to charity. It was the most expensive one, with all the proceeds going to charity. Literally, no one had that. It was limited edition for about 5 hours, and I saw it and I really wanted it because I knew I was going to upload soon. So
he sees you, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And opens his arms to you, right?
Yeah.
And you sprinted from the top of the queue, didn't you?
Yeah.
And jumped into his arms, didn't you?
Yeah.
And he span you around.
I've got photos of it, yeah.
And Mummy said it was just like a magical moment. Okay, this is interesting me. So people like Will Smith and Jimmy Fallon have killed YouTube, in your opinion. Mm-hmm. And it's a valid opinion. You're 11 years old. You are the generation. It's your medium. And I love that there's a whole generation of kids coming through who are going to upend the order of things. I think your generation will do that. And you've discovered your new heroes, people like Toby, KSI, and all that lot. What were they called? The Sidemen.
Yes, that's it. There were 7 of them.
7 of them. Are they still? Yeah. Is the Sidemen still exist? Does it exist?
They still upload videos and get 15, 16. I mean, their most viewed videos about 150 million views.
Wow. And what do you think? What do you think the future holds for that medium, for YouTube? And that, I know you've walked away from TikTok because the celebrities have got in on it, and the politics has killed it. Now, tell me, what do you think is the future for those sort of social media platforms?
I mean, people have got together they've signed petitions saying just take the celebrities off YouTube, and over 100 celebrities got taken off YouTube because of that petition. Loads of the already made celebrities. Gary Lineker was one of them, I remember. Yeah, he was on YouTube, but he uploaded nothing, absolutely nothing, and took all the subscribers from people who had been trying and cranking out loads of videos.
Gary Lineker, Gary, if you're listening to this is what the 11-year-olds think.
Yeah, he just took them all. And then people like Will Smith, 15 million subscribers, and he's uploaded about 15 videos. So it's like 1 million subscribers.
But hasn't he had a backlash? Hasn't there been a backlash against him for that?
Massive, because there's this thing at the end of the year called YouTube Rewind, and it's where they get all the hard-working creators and put them in a kind of video to say thank you, and they highlight over all the great things YouTube has done. And it just opened 2018, is the most disliked video of all time with over like 18 million dislikes.
What was that?
And that's rare because like normally there's like 15k likes on a video and that's good. And then that video got bomb dislike. No one liked it.
Which video?
YouTube Rewind and upload a video
because it had all celebs.
YouTube. It's opened with Will Smith. It had Jimmy Fallon in.
Who else did it have?
There was only a few YouTubers in there. And it was ridiculous.
We started off on the idea of friendship, and we've gone into social media and YouTube. And I've learned a lot today, especially on TikTok and YouTube. I had no idea that there was create so much backlash from you guys. Are your friends, do they think the same as you? Or are you
My friends all dislike TikTok heavily, except Connor's quite big on it. He's got about 5,000 followers.
Right.
Which is quite big. But he also quit it. His last video uploaded was a couple weeks ago.
Don't delete the account, because I love going through
there's no possible way you can delete the account, because that account's been going since 2015.
And I love going back through it and seeing your dances, and sometimes it's inappropriate, isn't it? And I ask you to remove it. But let's not go into that. But I do love seeing your sort of creativity and inventiveness. You've done dancing, you've done kind of magic tricks, you've done comedy, lip syncing, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it used to be Musically.
I remember that. Do you wish that you were one of those TikTokers that had millions of views?
No, because literally, what you got to remember on TikTok also is it's not exactly friendly in terms of there are lots of trolls and people. I've seen people who've done one thing wrong and there's thousands of people in their comments.
We're gonna. I promised only 25 minutes, and maybe what I might do is bring you back for a second podcast.
Okay.
But very quickly, because there might be some parents listening to this and kids. Social media is here to stay. Mummy and I both have embraced sort of phones and technology with you guys, and we've given you a lot of responsibility, and we don't sit on you. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. But we're also concerned about the trolls and the bullies, because it is like a playground. You know, what happens in the WhatsApp group feels like a playground. It's just happening digitally. What reassurance do you give to other parents listening to this about how they can protect their children, or how they can work with their children on having a sort of healthy relationship with social media?
I definitely think that if you want to, make sure your child doesn't get bullied or anything like that, it's simple. Just tell him, ask him for the password and email for the account, log into it and keep track of it. Make sure you monitor it, because monitoring it's all of that.
So you're happy for Mummy and I to occasionally drop in and see what's going on?
I can give you the password, you can see what I'm doing.
Because you're not scared about that, are you?
No, because there's nothing.
Although it has created a few problems with some.
Yeah, but that's a given. I mean, it's not going to be clean 100%, is it?
But we did deal with it, didn't we?
Yeah.
There was some scary moments, weren't there?
Yeah, a few.
Anyway, Constantine, thank you very much for your time. I think if the viewers out there want you back, I'm sure we will have you back for further interesting conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Constantine.
You're welcome.
And that was my 11-year-old son, Constantine, jumping in to provide us with an interesting episode featuring friendship, social media, and Will Smith. Next week, Ed Stoppard and I team up on B-Sides, and we speak to the wonderful, talented, hilarious, funny, beautiful, gorgeous, inspiring Catherine Jakeways, writer, actress, comedian, and all-round Renaissance woman, on her secret passion, which did surprise Ed and I, and we've known her for over 20 years. So be sure to tune in. I hope you're enjoying this series. Goodbye.